Good afternoon. I promised that I would do a short video on how to change the colour of pictures in PowerPoint. Now, you've got to remember, PowerPoint is not really an image manipulation program, but it does have some tools that will allow you to do this. I haven't found a way to create transparencies, but I have found a way that you can add, if you use transparencies, i.e. use PNG files in your presentations, you can actually change some of the details like the background color. And it's quite easy. It really is quite easy. You can also change the color of the actual graphic itself. So I'm going to give you a quick run through on how to do that, but I'm not going to show you absolutely everything because I'll be here all night. And it really is about you having a go and learning to play with this. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to turn your photo into a grayscale. Okay, so I've loaded a picture onto my screen, as you can see, and we're going to use this one. I've used this one specifically because it's got a lot of very strong colours, and it's going to be much easier for you to see the changes. But this will work on any photo. Okay, so the first thing you're looking for is the picture format menu, which is up at the top here. You can also access this by just double clicking on the frame of your picture and it will bring up this box to the side. So originally it's like this. You see this, and when you double click on the edge of your image, you get the picture format tools. So if I right click on the edge, down at the bottom here is format picture, and that is what we're going to work with. And there you go, menu pops up. So there's quite a lot of things you can do with pictures here. There's all sorts of artistic effects, which they gives you previews, and this is a really fast one for picking a grayscale. So here you have pencil grayscale, for instance. It takes a second to do its work, but once it's decided to do it, or not, there you go. So pencil grayscale. So if you go through this menu, you will see that there's loads of different kind of cute effects that you could play with and have a little fun with if you wanted to, which gives you lots of options for your graphics. To be honest, you can change so many things here and just have the same graphic and have it look different over and over and over again. So I'm just going to undo those changes. That's the other thing that's quite handy. You can undo the changes that you make just by clicking on this undo button up here. My particular favorite set of tools on PowerPoint is in here, this button here, which is the real powerhouse behind this, what I'm showing you today. Okay, so as you can see, you have the ability to make your photo or your picture more and more transparent, which is quite useful when you're using elements or parts of pictures behind, say, the interior of one of your books. So this will allow you to make your picture as transparent as you like, for you to then be able to write over the top, which adds interest to your interior pages. The easiest way to take away color from your picture is here in the color saturation box. If there are some presets already set up, and they are basically levels of color removed from your picture. But if you just want to turn it black and white or grayscale, all you have to do is slide the slider to 0, and as you can see, it is now grayscale. You can then decide to make it more transparent, and there you go. That is how easy this is to do. All right, so let's put it back to normal. So saturation is back to normal, and again, if I want to, I can just press undo, 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 and I get back to my original picture. Color changing, which is something else somebody asked me about. Color changing, again, you've got very, I'd like to say limited, but it isn't really limited because you actually have quite a lot of ability to change the colors in a picture. And one of them, and if you use these things in tandem, they're actually even more powerful because you have got exponential growth on your ability to change. So one of them is to be able to change the temperature of a picture. Most pictures work in a scale. I'm a photographer, so color temperature is one of the things that kind of is big in my world. But you work in a range of yellow to blue. So when you look at light, it's either got a yellow tone to it or a blue tone to it. So on a particularly sunny day, for instance, your pictures will veer to the yellow because the sunlight is extremely yellow. On a cloudy day, your pictures will veer to the blue because of the cloud cover will create a blue. It's cutting out the sunlight, cutting down the yellow, and therefore you've got a blue picture. Well, this works the same way. Yellow to blue. So what I'm going to just slide the slider so that you can see what I mean. Can you see the change? So that is going towards the blue side of the spectrum. If I slide the slider back to the other side, as you can see, it's going more orange. It's going to the yellow side of the spectrum. But in between the two of those things, you can see that you actually have a massive range of color choices that are popping up that any point that you stop moving this slider, you have now effectively got a different colored picture. Add to the ability not only just to change the temperature of the color, you can also change the color itself in other ways. You can make it darker, you can make it lighter, and you can, oops, excuse me, you don't want the crop button anyway. You can also use the color correction section to make changes. So if I wanted to use here, make my picture darker, as you can see, just by sliding the contrast button up, I have actually changed this picture again. It looks very different to how it was. By changing the brightness, you're changing how light or how dark this picture is, and again it is changing the color of the picture at the same time. You can at that point stop here and say, I really like that, I'm going to keep that, but what I want to do now is take the saturation out of it and turn that into a black and white. So by sliding the saturation button down, I have got a completely different look again. That's almost like the shadow, isn't it, really? So if I change the saturation again on this side, what I'm trying to get across to you is that just by doing this, you can make so many changes to one picture that you're giving yourself an enormous amount of possibilities to be able to use the same picture over and over and over again in different parts of your books. You can use them on the pages by going with the grayscale. You can use the same picture on the cover of your book and change the color of that repeatedly as well. So you could have this picture on 20 different books, but with different background colors, with different tones to the actual flowers. But then by turning the same graphic into a grayscale, you can make an interior that you could use with all of those 20 books, and at the same time it still looks like it's supposed to go together. I hope that that makes sense. The other thing I was going to show you is background color. So on this button here is the fill and line button. So if you wanted to, you could add a line to the edge of your picture like so, and you can choose how much of that line you want to show. Right, I've gone wrong here. Sorry, excuse me. Right, so back to the format picture. By pressing on the paint can here, as you can see, you've got your fill and your line. So if you've chosen a solid line, you can then choose whether it's a dot dash, You can choose whether or not you want to have all sorts of options when it comes in what color the line around your picture should be. So you could have, there you go, you could have a yellow line. You could have the line being, let's change this. Can you see the line around the edge of my box is getting brighter and wider and wider and wider? So you can do that. You can change it to being more than one line. So you can have a white line and a blue line. Choices are endless. And this is the other section here, which is the fill. Now this is also very, very powerful. You can have a solid fill. Choose your color. And as you can see, the graphic is now filling the whole of the background of that PNG file. You cannot do that with a JPEG because obviously the background is already colored or it's white, so you can't really affect that. The only way you can affect it is by changing the entire color of the picture. But with a PNG, you have a lot more options to play with. You can also do a gradient fill, which is, they can be really good fun. So let me just pick a color, any color. And just by sliding the sliders on the gradient stops, you can decide how much of your picture has the lighter color. You can also change the colors in here. You can change these so that you have a completely different color at one side and a completely different color at the end. Those are very, you can choose more colors from the color picker, for instance. As you can see, there you go. How cute does that look? Actually, I quite like that. And you can choose how far down, how dark it gets, how far down it gets dark. And then if you copy those colors onto the rest of your, for instance, a cover, you could have a whole cover with the gradient, with the picture matching it. Really do just need to play. You can also fill the background with another picture. So if you've got a pattern that you want to put in the background, you can also do that. So to pick a different picture, you just go to your sources and pick up the picture that you want to go in the background, and it will fill the entire frame with that picture. You can also do the same with patterns, loads of stuff, and also with the standard Microsoft suite of pictures that they've got stored away. You can also use those. Anyway, that's how you manipulate PNGs in PowerPoint to make more interesting stuff for your covers. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you for watching.